Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very, very last minute live stream. I am Outspoken Samantha, and I do a live stream called Unwired. And normally this takes place on Wednesday mornings, but today I have a few things that I wanted to respond to, and I figured since I had some time, I would see if you guys wanted to respond to them with me. I think if there was ever any indication, if we ever needed more solid proof that we should not be sending our kids to liberal universities or allowing them to, I don't know, participate in liberal ideology and progressive ideology and leftist ideology and woke ideology, I think we're about to see plenty of examples now. So let's get into it. All right, so let me bring up my chat here, make sure that I can see if you are here. If you are joining me, please drop a comment. Be sure to hit the like button. Maybe share the video with somebody that you think might find the topic of discussion interesting. Also, let me know if you can hear me, if you can't hear me, because it's not a live stream without tech issues. So I always want to make sure that you guys can hear me and hear the clips that I'm playing. And if you guys just let me know where you're tuning in from. We've got Brian from Ohio. Welcome, Brian. I appreciate you being here. So today I wanted to talk about, let me see if I can find just an image to show you guys. This is kind of a new thing that I've just seen over the last couple of months where I don't know if it's a channel called Jubilee or what it is, but they will have somebody that will be the primary debater of the entire discussion, whether it be someone that's very liberal or someone that's very conservative or somewhere in between. And they will sit down at a table and they will debate. They will be surrounded by probably 15 to 20 people of the opposite ideology. There's a timer set, and once, I don't know, they have like an opportunity to jump in. They kind of have to race to the seat to sit across from the person that they'll be debating, and they can pretty much just bring up anything that they want to talk about. So let me just show you what that setup kind of looks like. Let me know if you've heard of it. Because it is really interesting to watch, but let me just show you guys really quick. So the one that we're going to be talking about today specifically is Ben Shapiro debating 20 Kamala Harris supporters. So obviously we know that this is going to be a really interesting conversation already. But this is what the setup is. So he's sitting there at the table. He's surrounded. He's sitting in a circle, and there are about 20 people surrounding him, and they all support Kamala Harris. They set a timer, and they're allowed to sit down for a set length of time, even though I'm not really sure what the setup is, because some only get about a minute. This person here that we will be listening to got about 4 minutes. So I'm not sure how that works, but they give them the opportunity to race toward the chair, and whoever sits down can bring up whatever topic of conversation they want to bring up and debate this person on it. So it is Terry Ryan says, I saw the one with the debating 20 Trump supporters. Let me know, Terry, is it the one with the blonde kid that looks like Tom Holland? Because that's the one that I saw. It was wild to watch. But the one I want to talk about today, and I really should bring up some of those clips because they were insane as well. And I meant to do a react video to those, but I just didn't get around to it. So I should have brought some of those up, but we're going to talk about the one with Ben Shapiro because this one was the one going on over the last week. And like I said, if you ever needed an excuse or any more reason to not allow your kids specifically to go to a liberal university, to participate in woke ideology, if you ever need an indicator as to why these ideas are just so poisonous and nonsensical and indefensible and particularly if you are a Christian, as I am, how they pretty much go against everything that we as Christians believe in. This entire conversation here would be that demonstration, would be that example. So the first one, we're not going to talk about this person just yet. This will be the last clip that we touch on. We're going to get into this one. As we know, the topic of abortion is the deciding topic for like all liberals, both men and women now, because as we've seen, liberal women, this is the only issue that they care about. And I don't know how you can't recognize that this might be something that is being used as a tool of manipulation when it is literally the only thing that you care about. When you know yourself that you are not talking about the economy, you're not talking about the border, you're not talking about crime, you're not talking about housing prices, you're not talking about inflation. When you know that the only thing that you can focus on is abortion, to me, that would be an indicator that maybe you would need to take a step back and wonder why that is. And wonder if it really is because this issue is that important, or if it really is being used as this tool to bind you to a particular side of the political aisle, absent of logic and reason, but so that they can get away with doing all of these other things that are destroying our lives. But they've made this one issue so important that they can get you to ignore everything else, if that makes sense. So it just blows my mind, because this conversation has gone so far beyond from where it started, which was safe, legal, and rare, to anytime, any reason, any level, any number of weeks of gestation, any, there doesn't have to be a reason. It doesn't have to be a medical condition. It doesn't have to be a threat to the mother's life. It doesn't have to be a traumatic situation. Any woman that wants to get an abortion at any time, we have no right to stand in her way. And this has also been tied to women's rights as if it is the only thing that defines our rights. Ironically, as all of these women that support abortion are allowing men into women's bathrooms, locker rooms, dorms, sports, awards, scholarships, all of these things. Like under Democrat policies, we don't even have the right to our own bathrooms anymore. So it's astonishing. But just to lead up, that's what this particular conversation is about. So we're going to listen to this lady. We're going to kind of interject. I would love to, I'm going to read your comments as they're coming in, but this is the topic that she touches on, which is abortion. So she jumps in there. She's ready to debate Ben Shapiro. So let's get into it. And again, let me know if you can hear this, because sometimes I'm not sure if my clips are coming through.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Hello. Nice to meet you. Oh wow, you look better in person. Okay, so
That's very sweet of you. I don't often get that, so thank you.
Okay, it's fine. How do you define abortion really quickly?
Abortion would be the forcible termination of an unborn human life.
Yes, but like, why do you hold that definition? Like, would you not assume like something like a C-section would be considered an abortion?
No, because the baby is born alive.
But
So how would that be an abortion?
What does the definition of abortion have to include the death of a fetus?
Because that's literally the definition of abortion.
It literally isn't, though. Where are you getting this definition from?
Where are you getting your definition from?
Let's go to like.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt so quickly, but right across the screen, it says the Harvard Medical School definition of an abortion is the removal of pregnancy tissue products of conception or the fetus and placenta after birth from the uterus. Yes, that is the medical definition of abortion, is removal of the pregnancy, but an important component of that, obviously, is that it's the ending of the pregnancy. It's the ending of that baby's life. There's no other definition. There's no other, we have to have the separation between what an abortion is versus what a birth is versus what a miscarriage is. And she's very nervous, so she's talking very, very fast. So I'm trying to just kind of tune into what she's saying. But again, we're already debating the definition of abortion when we have always understood what it is, what this procedure is, and the very significant differences between an abortion versus giving birth or having a miscarriage or an ectopic pregnancy. So let's Yes, Terry Ryan says that definition is too ambiguous. I agree. They do need to put in there. It's not just the removal of any baby. It's the intentional ending of that baby's life and then removing it. So we're already shifting around these definitions, which to me, it feels like if you were really in favor of abortion and you based on what it actually was, you wouldn't feel the need to shift around these definitions so often. You wouldn't need to move the goalposts as often as these people do. It's like, you know what an abortion is. And if it's something that you truly feel like saves women's lives, why do you constantly feel like you have to move things around in order to accept it, in order to make it justifiable in society? Because to me, if you constantly have to change words and definitions, that means that you're really not okay with what it is. And you have to change things in order to reconcile what it is that you're in favor of in your own mind. So let's listen a little bit more here.
What, like, do you like fucking like Mayo Clinic, like any fucking like hospital you've ever gone to before?
And I apologize for the language. Most of them don't get into it as much. And I know that it really doesn't bother most people. It bothers me a little bit, but that's just the way. And am I being a little bit judgmental? Can we normalize like not dropping the F-bomb like every other word? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not judging. It's kind of grating on my ears sometimes. Grating is what I meant to say. Anyway, all right, let's listen to a little bit more here.
A C-section ends with the birth of the child.
Right, but
I know,
but abortion,
but abortion
generally. Yeah, I understand this.
I'm here. I'm talking to you.
I know, baby.
That's how I was not aborted.
I understand this, but like yes, but like no. Well, yes, but like no. But no, you can simply say that abortion is simply the ending of a pregnancy, right? So the ending of a pregnancy outside of the natural birth of a fetus. So I don't see that. I don't see why you would say that like it would have to end in the death of a fetus, which is why I'm pro-abortion all 9 months, right? Because say if a woman is not able to pass a fetus in the natural way, we can have these other abortion processes that would say like, okay, like she needs some type of induction that doesn't include the actual natural expulsion of a fetus, but it doesn't always end in the death of a fetus. So I don't see how you could say that Kamala Harris' stance is immoral in this sense.
I just don't understand how you're removing the death of the fetus from the equation about abortion. That's literally the entire moral issue. You and I would not even be.
Okay. So we're shifting around to definitions here. And to me, a thought that I had when I was listening to this the first time is that you have to have very, very clear definitions about what certain procedures are and what they are not. I have had 3 children. None of them were aborted. I delivered them. I gave birth to them. There is a very big difference between that and abortion. But if you start tying this together, that's where we get into this realm of doctors don't know what the law is. Women don't know what their rights are in healthcare. So when these women get in here and start saying that abortion is the same thing as having a C-section or the same thing as delivering a baby, that's where these are the people that are causing problems in medical care, where doctors are suddenly like, we don't know what the law is and we don't know how to help women. That's why, when we have people that have to, remove their limbs or remove body parts as far as, having a medical condition like cancer or a tumor or something that says, there's a problem with their limb, whether they've had a car accident, we are okay in those circumstances of saying, yeah, you definitely need to remove those limbs, remove those body parts to save that person's life. But then when we start tying this into things like gender affirming care, where we're saying, it's okay to remove limbs in these circumstances, but not in these circumstances, it's like, well, that's why we have to have lines drawn and very specific definitions about what some procedures are for and what they are not for. And maybe that wasn't, not a great comparison. But again, when we're trying to tie this to like abortion, saying that it's the same as a C-section, the same as delivering a baby, or pretty much any circumstance where a baby is coming out of a woman's body is an abortion, then you start to get into this area where we either can't have a law that bans anything, or we have to have laws that allow everything. We can't have any middle ground. And that's where the danger in healthcare really comes from. Let's get into it. Let's watch this. There's only about a minute left. Let's see what else she has to say.
be arguing if we were talking about C-sections or about natural birth.
But it seems like at its core, though, we disagree on what the inherent definition of abortion is.
You could leave away. We could very easily solve this. Let's just not talk about the word abortion. Let's talk about the forcible termination of a baby.
Okay. So then, what do you value in the fetus then?
The life of the fetus.
Okay. So then, when is this? You said it begins at conception.
Yes.
And why is that?
Because that is literally the biological definition of when an independent life begins.
Yes, but like, why does it have moral value?
It has moral value because that's literally the biological definition of when a human life begins.
Right, but like, why does that have moral value though?
Okay, why does any life have moral value?
I would value sentience.
But why?
Right, because
based on what?
This is simply.
Okay, so now we've shifted the conversation away from the actual abortion procedure. And now we're into this realm of, well, why does this life matter at all? Like, who decides what lives matter and what lives don't matter? And this is very dangerous language. And I don't, and again, like, I don't think that these young adults that are being indoctrinated to think this way realize how dangerous it is when we can start determining whose life has value and who doesn't, based on things like convenience, based on things like exterior circumstances, whether or not they're going to have the best life, whether they're going to live in poverty, whether they could have a challenging situation, whether they have a less than ideal medical condition like Down syndrome. You know, we're starting to dictate, we're starting to play God and say which lives, you know, and place these criteria that people have to meet, that a human being has to meet before they are granted the right to live. And now she's asking, well, why does that life have any meaning? Yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? It's like arguing with a toddler. And it's funny because on one of my videos that I posted probably a few weeks ago about Gen Z getting fired at an astronomical rate, somebody left a comment under that video where basically saying, like, we have to re-socialize young adults. And I know that, you know, socializing isn't relevant to this particular conversation, but it's almost like we have to like reintroduce critical thinking and treat these young adults like they're toddlers, because they haven't been taught to, they've missed like all of these fundamental developmental milestones, like independent thinking, like moral thinking, like reasonable thinking. And now like everything is in question and anything goes. I know that was kind of a bit of a rant, but it's just, to me, that this line of thinking is so dangerous. So we'll listen to the last 40 seconds of this. Let me know your guys' thoughts, and then we'll get into the next clip.
This is what we value, like you and I value. Like, is it okay to like unplug like a brain dead patient, for example?
I mean, the question is whether it's okay to unplug a brain dead patient. Actually, quite a controversial one in sort of religious circles.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as why, I'm just wondering if somebody's in a coma and you know they're going to wake up, do you have the right to unplug them?
Well, coma's not brain dead though. We know that there's future sentience there. Like, it would be like a matter of like a conjunct of like past, future, like past, present, or future sentience. But like a person in a coma has. I
agree, and guess what? Fetuses also have guaranteed future sentience.
Well, no, because you're only valuing one half of the conjunct. That's not right. So it would be past, present, or future.
Now you're changing the topic. I mean, we started with what's the value of the fetus.
Okay, so then. So then she's bringing in this, okay, well, let's bring in another standard, future sentience. And he's like, well, let's get into this conversation about people that have had sentience and maybe they end up in a coma, maybe they end up in a medical condition where we're not entirely sure what the brain function is or whether they're going to wake up or what that future looks like, what their quality of life looks like. So what this means is the standards that they apply to babies can be applied to anybody else, whether it be somebody who is elderly, whether it be somebody who is handicapped and relies on other people to function and to help them survive. And that's, again, where this dangerous language comes in, where it's like we can determine whether or not somebody's life has value based on certain criteria instead of the overall criteria that the Constitution affords us and says that everybody has the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we don't get to take that away from them just because we're the one in a higher position of power. Like, we're the ones that can pull the plug, so therefore we have a right to do so. Just to look at a couple comments here. And I apologize if I cannot pronounce your screen name in Kalisi. I'm sorry. She, why a fetus has moral value. He, why your life has moral value. She, are you kidding me, BLM? It's true. And if you applied race to this conversation and it was about Black children and Black babies in particular, then she would probably throw out there Black Lives Matter, all Black Lives Matter, no matter what, which is interesting because in some cities and some states where they have very, very liberal abortion laws, meaning they have very little restrictions, more Black babies tend to be aborted than to be born. So that just shows how little they know about this subject, how little they've really thought about it. And at the end of the day, they had this person had a little bit more time, probably would have said, my body, my choice, end of story, which is really just what it comes down to. I want to be able to be as promiscuous as possible. I want to be able to do whatever I want. And then I want to be able to avoid the consequences of those choices. That's really what the whole thing comes down to. And if you don't allow me to do that, you are taking away my rights. Never mind that you as a man can put on a dress and come into my bathroom and come into my dorm and take over my awards and scholarships. That would be perfectly fine. But if you want to stand in the way of me avoiding the consequences of some of my other life choices, then you're taking away my rights. Make it make sense. All right, let's move on to this next clip. This next one, she gets into a conversation about DEI. And this is, again, just such another incredibly problematic viewpoint, just such a problematic worldview, because this takes away meritocracy. This takes away individuality, which is really interesting because these people want to be recognized for being empowered and liberated and not having their rights taken away. But at the same time, they want to be viewed as an entire community. They want to be labeled and grouped together with other people, regardless of what other people's choices are. And they want to be recognized for the choices that other people make. It's very, very bizarre. So yeah. One cookie, she's talking about the video that I just said, why Gen Z is getting fired at an astronomical rate. You guys should go watch that video because I think there's a whole slew of issues, but ultimately they're not being prepared for the workplace. They're not being prepared to go in and handle what a job requires. And it's almost like they expect their managers and their bosses to treat them like their parents would and give them all kinds of exceptions and special treatment for their personal circumstances. So Gen Z, it says Gen Z fired. Yeah, but why? They have not been to school. They have been to indoctrination camps. Absolutely. Billy Rojo, I don't know if you're making fun of my hair or no. The girl, I thought you were talking to me. I was like, because you said girl who did your hair. I'm assuming you're talking about the girl in the video. I was like, well, that was rude. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So this girl is going to jump in and talk about DEI. So again, leave your comments. I love hearing what you guys have to say. So let's listen to her perspective on this.
Yeah, like a jackrabbit. Thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So I kind of want to shift the conversation about DEI a little bit away from culture because I don't know if that's necessarily like a helpful conversation to have. And I really want to talk more about representation. So 1 in 5 Americans currently is Hispanic. This country, like it or not, is not a homogenous country. We are a very diverse country. Mm-hmm. Do you not?
Okay, so just the first thing that I wanted to respond to is when she says, like it or not, this is not a homogenous country. It's a diverse country. So when she says like it or not, it's like she's automatically sitting down and assuming that she knows what Ben Shapiro stands for because he's a conservative. And of course, you know, the talking point or the narrative is that conservatives don't like diversity because we don't like DEI, because we're against it. That means we're against diversity. So she's already attacking him and saying, well, whether you like it or not, we are a diverse country. And it's like, that's never been the issue. That's never been something that anybody on the conservative side is arguing against. In fact, we encourage diversity because we want people to think for themselves. We want them to have their own ideas. We want people to be represented as an individual and not as a group. So I found that really, really interesting just to start out that way, because they say so much with so little sometimes. And then there's Kamala Harris who says so much and absolutely nothing at the same time. So it's wild. Let's get into it.
think that our legislators should be representative of the overall population?
I don't see a way that you can have a quote unquote representative legislature with 435 members of Congress in a country of 340 million people, because you can divvy that up however you want. It's not by race. You can do it by sex. You can do it by gender. You can do it by sexual orientation. How exactly do you decide what is quote unquote the representative group? And also, I don't believe that individuals ought to be represented based on group identity. So for example, I'm Jewish. Jews are actually overrepresented in Congress. I don't think that we ought to decide exactly how many people in Congress are Jewish based on the Jewish population of the country. I think that's actually a pretty silly way to do representation.
Well, we don't have to do it systematically, but fundamentally, there is an issue with the fact that we are not fully represented. Like, the entire population is not represented.
Okay, so this idea of representation, obviously we are aware that this is a very diverse country. So to expect that every single aspect of society, whether it be government, whether it be in your workplace, is going to have equal representation of every kind of culture or skin color or religion or whatever it is in that area is just not realistic. And not only that, they're putting representation above merit, above experience, above values, above leadership skills, all of these things that actually matter and actually make our systems function and work properly. She's saying that representation, we need to make sure that we have diverse representation as far as skin color, because they don't want diversity of thought. It's just about this view, this aesthetic of diversity. We don't want people thinking for themselves. We just want it to look like we have a diverse group. But that is the most important thing above what people actually bring to the table. And Shane Nolan says this girl was on Charlie Kirk. I think I missed that, but I would not be surprised at all. So to me, right off the bat, that is just a problem with this whole DEI mindset. It's like, I don't care what somebody brings to the table. I don't care what their experience is. I don't care what they're going to do for my community. As we see with Kamala Harris, they don't care about her record, about the fact that she is one of the dumbest human beings on planet Earth. All they care about is that she looks different than any other president that we've had, and that we're finally getting a woman. We have the potential to put a woman in the White House. And that obviously can have very devastating consequences, because if you're putting somebody in that doesn't have the experience and cannot handle the job, I mean, can you imagine Kamala Harris facing off with people from China and from South Korea and for all these world leaders? She's not going to have a teleprompter. She's not going to have her little earrings to whisper in her ear. She's not going to be able to tell them, well, I'm going to need to go home and read up on that policy before I can answer your question. She's not going to be able to do that. The idea of her being able to sit down and have a serious meeting in one of the most crucial times, the most chaotic times in world history, is terrifying to me and should be terrifying to everybody else. But I feel like there was something else I was going to say. I don't know. If I think of it, I will pop it in later. But let's listen to a little bit more.
We have never had a black female president. I still have to pay taxes.
We've never had
the whole concept is no taxation without. We have had a white male president. We've had 45 of them.
Whether Jews count as white or not has been sort of an object of debate for quite a while. We do. Okay.
You do.
So, it depends according to whom. And that's a pretty recent development. Okay. So
basically everyone. It's a religion.
Judaism.
Do you not agree that you were a white man?
I think that it depends on the context in which you're discussing it.
So what are you, Ben? Are you not a white guy?
I'm a man of Jewish ethnicity, which is sometimes grouped with white and sometimes not. That's the more accurate way to put it. But
I think what's important to understand, there's probably a lot of things that that need to be pointed out here, but whether or not we view Jewish people as white people, I just can't believe how much time people spend thinking about these things. I have never sat down and contemplated whether or not I think Jewish people are white people. But these are coming from the same people that are running around calling Kamala Harris black, and she's not. She's Indian. And love her or hate her, Candace Owens has done several episodes over the last month or two exposing Kamala Harris's background. This woman is not black. Let me just say, this woman is not black. But to get in there and criticize whether or not Ben Shapiro or Jewish people can call themselves white is ridiculous. But ultimately, they call them white when it's convenient to them, and they call them non-white when it's convenient. It just kind of depends on the narrative. But ultimately, I don't think that I just don't think it's such an important thing to focus on. But you can see how much skin color, race, ethnicity has become to these people because it's the only thing they think about. Yet somehow we're the racists. We're the racists. Really? I would never sit down and have a conversation with a Jewish person about whether or not they're white or whether they're considered white or not. Like, that would never even cross my mind. Yet it's like the first thing that they bring up. So let's listen to a little more.
Talking about
grouped
with Jews, who are which is an ethnicity. I mean,
so you're not white at all.
I mean, again, it depends who's doing the grouping and how. I've seen Jews grouped with white and Jews grouped with not white. Are we just pretending that doesn't exist? That's a reality. However, as far as your generalized point, which is that we are supposed to identify people by group identity, if we don't have a black female president, somehow black females have not been represented. So Barack Obama was in no way representative of black females because he's not a female.
No, he was representative.
So
but
he was
that's
half representative. How do you do the math on this? And why?
You shouldn't do the math on it completely statistically, but the fact
you shouldn't
is
do the math on it at all. You should treat people as
underrepresented.
You should treat people as individuals.
Well, if you don't even want Kamala Harris to attempt to create DEI initiatives in office, then there isn't even going to be a conversation about it.
I mean, I don't think there ought to be a conversation about why we ought to be represented by race or by sex. I think that we are each individual people with individual ideas, and if that person represents.
Did you guys see her face? It was almost like she was malfunctioning when he's like, we should be considered, we should be regarded as individual people. And she just kind of went, it's like these ideas don't register. They're like, wait, that's not what I grew up with. That's not what I've been told. That's not what I've been taught. Like, I don't even know how to comprehend that idea, just viewing people as individuals and their individual choices. It's almost like her brain just kind of glitched with that idea. And you can see people in the background with their facial expressions. They truly think that she is winning this conversation. They truly think that she is owning Ben Shapiro on this. And we're all just sitting back here like, this viewpoint is so problematic and it is so poisonous. And this is why so many of our systems are failing. For all the people that say that our systems are in trouble, that everything is crumbling, that they can't live the American dream as they want, this is why. Because we're not regarding people as individuals anymore. We're not putting the best people for the job in these significantly important positions. And this is why everything is falling apart. I don't care what color Kamala Harris is. She would be an idiot if she was white. It doesn't matter. I would still not vote for her. I don't care about her skin color. So it's just mind-boggling to me. There's about 40 seconds left of this one. You guys are going to love the next one. So you better stay tuned for the last one, but let's finish this one up really quick.
Presents my ideas. I don't care what sex, race, or sexual orientation they are.
I mean, to an extent, yes.
No, entirely.
But there is an issue with the lack of empathy in office. We need to be able to empathize and legislate for the people that are living in this country.
I was not
Do you
aware,
not believe that?
I was not aware that empathy is relegated to particular race solidarity.
No, but I mean, it's easier to be empathetic towards people whose experiences you can fundamentally understand based on your identity. Like, do you not believe that people have an inherent bias?
So first of all, I'm not sure.
Identity?
I mean, we can start with the empathy itself. I'm not sure that empathy is always the best basis for actual public policy, because when you have group solidarity and empathy based on group solidarity, you're going to attempt to actually benefit the group with whom you have solidarity. So that actually cuts against generalized public policy.
But that's like a fundamental thing that just exists, which is why we need representation in government.
Okay, so this idea that I don't know what, and maybe you guys can answer this question for me. How much empathy do we really need in public policy? Because to me, that is not a top priority for me. I want what makes sense. I want what is going to deliver results. To me, the empathy comes when you put a policy in place that actually benefits people. To me, it demonstrates empathy and sympathy and caring and compassion to close our border. It demonstrates empathy when you put people who commit crimes behind bars because you're not allowing them to run around and destroy the lives of other people. So what is her definition of empathy? Because I don't really even think that she could answer that question. Secondly, when she's talking about how we need to have people in office that share a similar skin color because they are going to understand our life experiences better, that is completely not true. Just because someone has the same skin color as you does not mean that they understand your life experiences. I mean, yes, Oprah came from a very humble background, but her life experiences now does not mean clearly that she understands the life experiences of somebody else just because they look like her. And I mean, as much as I appreciate Donald Trump, I mean, and I do think that Donald Trump has an understanding of a lot of life experiences of a lot of people because he's employed so many people. He's created jobs for so many people. He's had to interact and employ and create those relationships with people across the board. I mean, take him or leave him. That's just the way that it is. So I do think that there's a level of empathy that comes from that. But he was born in significantly different circumstances than I was. So I don't think because we share the same skin color, that means that we're automatically going to have this, ability to relate to each other. So I just think that that is completely false as well. And again, we just need to get back to recognizing people as individuals, because you can have people that share life experiences and have drastically different outcomes. And it has nothing to do with how they look. It has to do with the choices that they make. You have to be able to make good choices for your life. And that is where we have equal opportunity. That is the true kind of equality that the American system offers us, and that you're not held back by the group that you're labeled with because somebody else in your group makes a poor choice. You get to benefit from the choices that you make, while somebody else who might look like you makes drastically different choices, but they're held accountable for that, not you. Let's see. Shane says, Oprah thinks homeless white men have more privilege than her. Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. I'm just reading through your comments. You guys be sure to hit the like button on this video. Make sure, if you want to invite somebody to the conversation. I really am trying to grow this channel. I'm enjoying doing a live stream today. Typically, I work on Saturdays, so that's why I'm not able to do it as much. But I think maybe towards the beginning of the year, I might do them more on Saturdays as things kind of slow down a little bit. But if in case you're new to a live stream from me, I typically do them on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. And I just kind of talk about news and culture and whatever pops into my brain. So, but today we're just responding to some of this conversation on the Jubilee channel, where again, Ben Shapiro is debating 20 Kamala Harris supporters. So, Terry Ryan says, they just cleared out the homeless encampments ahead of the Taylor Swift coming to town. Give me a freaking break. God forbid. She should have to see someone less fortunate than her, then she might help. I do have to give Taylor Swift credit. I did hear that she did make a significant donation to the relief funds for the Hurricane Helene victims. I did see that floating around. Don't take that as fact right now. I did see that. And I have seen Taylor Swift make charitable donations and be very generous with her money in the past. So I can't entirely hold that against her. But again, when she comes out and endorses Kamala Harris based on the entire issue of abortion and LGBTQ ideas, and then also claiming to have done all of this research on candidates, which I think is completely false. I have questions about her as a person, and definitely do not think that anybody should be listening to her for moral guidance on anything. The last clip, let me find it here. This is the one. Okay, you guys are in for a ride. Oh my gosh. Yes, Taylor Swift definitely has a low IQ. Oops. I don't know what I just clicked on. Was Samantha ever a Swiftie? No, I would not call myself a Swiftie. I have enjoyed some of her music. I actually really enjoyed more of her earlier stuff when she was just like a country star. I really liked that music, not so much as she has changed. And I have definitely withheld my support from her as she has gotten more political, which I think with all of these celebrity endorsements, you guys can let me know what you think. With all these celebrity endorsements, I think these people are doing more harm to their careers than they are helping Kamala Harris, because coming out as political is just making people not want to support them. But all right, so this last clip, I don't even think there's a way to set you guys up for this. This is a trans person, which takes about 20 seconds for them to admit, but they just go on this tirade for like 4 minutes straight. So there's no way to mentally prepare yourself for the absolute meltdown that this person has. So are you guys... I'm a walk away Swiftie for sure, Nessie. I'm a walk away Swiftie. I appreciate your guys' comments. Okay, so if everybody has taken their blood pressure medication and is ready to absorb the absolute meltdown we are about to witness, let's get into it.
First question, can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay, awesome.
We don't even need to go too far. What was this guy's face? What was this guy's face? Right here. Can men get pregnant? He's like, oh my gosh. Like, how dare you answer that question like that? Like, that's such a controversial statement. That's insane to me. All right, sorry guys. Let's.
Awesome. So
definitionally,
okay. Do men experience SA, sexual assault?
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
Okay, so we're only about 30 seconds in, and this person has already shifted topics like 3 times. Do you believe in the existence of trans men? It's like, I believe in your existence as a human being. Clearly, you are sitting right in front of me. You are a person. I believe that you exist. Do I think that there's such a men as trans men or trans women? No, I don't. And then shifting the conversation, do you think that you have benefited from white supremacy? It's like, okay, so now we're shifting the conversation. And this is just getting started. Let's keep going.
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
supremacy. Here, let me give it to you then.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that? Because there's...
Okay, I don't mean to keep interrupting. I promise I'll let it go a little bit longer before interrupting the next time. But when they say that the things that they have experienced, the trauma they've experienced, the SA they've experienced, if you guys, I'm sure a lot of you have been following the trans issue for a long time, but something that we are seeing consistently is that so many people that identify this way have had a history of trauma, have something in their past that they are trying to escape. And they are told, you know, that this is the way to get away from that. If they just completely change their identity, that is a way for them to just separate themselves from this thing that has happened to them. And I don't mean to trigger anybody. I don't know if I should offer a trigger warning before discussing that, but that is something that we are seeing across the board. And people that have experienced these things are very susceptible to these ideas because they are desperate to escape their identity. They're desperate to escape their own body, their name, anything associated with that past trauma. So it really is unfortunate because I think in a lot of ways they're not being given the help that they need. And they're being preyed upon with these ideas, with the promise of being cured. And as we're going to go on and see, like, this is not curing anything. This person is clearly very traumatized, very unstable. And I don't think that they've been given the help that they need, even though they clearly believe that they have. But that's just my interpretation. Clearly, I am not speaking for this person. I'm not dismissing their experiences, but this is just what evidence is showing us from this ideology in general and the people that tend to fall into it the most frequently. Nessie, it's outspoken Samantha. That title alone is a trigger warning. Amen. Amen. I appreciate that. All right, let's keep going.
No legislation, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body. So why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make,
no,
buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about abortion.
No, I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I
got a wife.
I recognize that you exist. I disagree with your claim
so
that you are a
male. If I
male.
was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because I was sexually assaulted?
I mean,
no, I just want to make sure.
Okay. Sorry. We're getting into meltdown, well, even more of a meltdown mode here. So they're talking about abortion. They're talking about the existence of being a woman who believes that they're a man and tying all of these things together in one big mess. So I think we need to be able to address one thing at a time. It's like, no, abortion is abortion is abortion. It's a baby, it's a baby, it's a baby, regardless of a baby is a baby is a baby, regardless of how they ended up in somebody's womb. I think this person is basically saying that they need abortion to exist because they believe themselves to be a man and do not believe they should have to carry a baby. And also they think abortion needs to exist because people that experience SA should not have to carry them in those circumstances. So it's two different things that they're throwing at Ben Shapiro, asking him to defend, and then obviously not giving him a chance to respond. So this person is all over the place when it comes to the issues that they want to discuss, but obviously not interested in a conversation because they just keep talking and not allowing Ben to respond to any of the like dozen points that they brought up already. So let's keep going.
Sure that that's what you believe, because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly here,
and so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game.
Nah, sorry, I didn't mean to freeze on that woman's face just like that. Okay, so this person, she has brought up her genitalia, which nobody. Is it wild to anybody else that we have people that are just so comfortable? Sorry, I'm going to move the screen off of her face. That we have people that are just so comfortable throwing that out there and being like, let me just talk to you about what's in my pants. Nobody, like literally nobody is asking, and they just throw that out there. Like, no, nobody cares. I don't want to know. In fact, I not only don't care, I would actually prefer that you didn't bring that up. Secondly, they're talking about how Ben just constantly attacks their community, conveniently leaving out the fact that the only issue we really have with most of this conversation is regarding children. Is regarding teaching children that this is the normal way to live, that this is the actual like natural worldview, that we can just pick our gender, and that actually having like a binary identity, whether you're a boy or a girl, is actually the thing that goes against nature. Teaching children this ideology as if it is fact. That is the problem. And then leading them down this path where they're destroying their minds and their bodies before they have a chance to even understand what it is that's going on, before they have a chance to figure out if that is even a problem for them. Because as the studies have shown, 80 to 90% of these kids that have any question about their gender at all grow out of it by the time they get to older, teenage years or young adulthood. But these people don't even want to give them a chance to do that. Yet they lump themselves in as an adult, lump themselves in with this issue when it comes to kids. And when this person keeps throwing at Ben, why don't I get to live my American dream as a man? Yet he's sitting there. Sorry, they really do look like a man, so it's really hard to call them a she. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But clearly they're sitting there living their life exactly the way that they want to live it, and nobody has stopped them. Arguably, the American dream is much more about, pursuing your career and having a family and being able to thrive and succeed at whatever level that you aspire to, that you work towards. But this person's American dream is clearly to change their gender and be a man, and they are living that dream. So they're a walking contradiction to the things that they are accusing Ben Shapiro of being and of living by. And there's no self-awareness. There's no there's no ability to sit back and take a breath and say, hey, I'm actually living the life that I want to live. I'm actually living in the identity that I want to live at, and nobody has stood in my way. I've had the support of my family. I've had the support of my community. I have the support of my kids. So again, what part of your dream are you not living right now? And it says, I know that is crazy, Samantha. That one is the most convincing I have seen yet. Let's see. One cookie says, weird to see the crowd cheering like they them is winning the debate against Ben Shapiro. And that's the take that I have seen from so many people on this particular segment, that because Ben Shapiro is unable to speak or get a word in edgewise, they're like, this person owned Ben Shapiro. This person totally, made Ben Shapiro speechless, which is impossible to do. That's not what happened here. I think we've all had these experiences with people that are just so out of their mind that we just have to sit back and not say anything, because we know that the energy, exerting the energy, is not even worth it, because they're not interested in having a conversation. They're not interested in actually hearing what you have to say. They're not interested in a debate. They just want to yell and scream at you. And you just have to sit back and go, okay, you came here clearly just to throw a tantrum. I'm not going to get myself worked up about it. It is not for me. It's not worth giving you that control over me to make me upset when you came here with a completely different agenda than to actually listen to something other than your own voice. So, it gets better, guys. Let's listen to a little more.
So how does it feel to have it in your face?
Oh, well, I mean,
because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially Black trans women, because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself? All of us are struggling, and you want to focus on trans people. You want to focus on a Black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America.
Okay, so they're continuing to go. What I found interesting about this is they is bringing up this accusation against Ben. Why don't you focus on the economy? Why don't you focus on things that are more important? Why don't you focus on the things that matter? That's what we're trying to do. We are actually trying to get people to make their voting decisions based on all of these other things. Yet if you approach a liberal about why they are voting, the only two things they will ever cite is first, abortion, second, LGBTQ rights. That is the only thing they will talk about. So it would be great if we just held up a mirror to this person and just let them scream at themselves, because everything that this person is screaming at Ben would have a lot more of an impact if they would just say those exact things to themselves. It's like, why don't you focus on the economy? Why don't you get your community to focus on the economy? We're not struggling because we have an issue with LGBTQ issues. We're struggling because we have a significant part of the population that can't think about anything else besides mutilating children and sexualizing children and putting sexual material in schools or aborting their babies. We can't get you guys to actually talk about the border. We can't get you guys to talk about inflation. We can't get you guys to talk about energy costs or crime or what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, or New York City or Dallas, Texas, where I just heard that there's a bunch of Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment buildings there too. Yay for me. That's about an hour from where I live. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's like, yeah, I would love to talk about the economy, but you're the one sitting down and the only thing you've been ranting about for almost 3 minutes straight is your genitalia and your rights as a trans person. Mind-boggling to me, guys. Let's keep going.
America's falling apart, and let's give it a woman right when it's all falling apart, when we'd had, 50 men run it and it looks like shit? Look at where we're at. Truly, where do you think that we're heading? I mean, it's so funny to watch white supremacy just fall apart the way that it is, and you ride so hard because
and this is the part where Ben just completely abandons the conversation. He's just like, all right, you want to talk? Go for it. And this is the part where, you know, you can see the people in the background, they're cheering for this person. They think that they've won this conversation. When honestly, if you just sit down and berate somebody for 2-3 minutes straight and don't give them a chance to talk, that's like the definition of a bully. That's like, you aren't accomplishing anything other than just ranting and raving and screaming like a toddler. And at that point, it's just, there's no point in even trying. So you haven't won anything because this person hasn't said anything sensical in almost 3 minutes.
Guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children. And why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate, and all of this idea that abortion is somehow gonna...
I'm sorry, guys. just a little question here. If men are so bad, then why do you want to be one? If the patriarchy is so bad, then why did you intentionally like turn yourself into someone that is part of the patriarchy? Just a question.
Solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to completely ignore that. And we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have. Why are we doing that? What? I mean, why? Because you want to push white supremacy and because you want to make your check? It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis, and including my entire community. And
oh, crap. I didn't mean to click out of it. Sorry. Well,
first question, supremacy, and because you...
Okay, so how many issues has this person brought up? White supremacy, abortion, trans right, capitalism, I don't know. They've literally thrown out every single thing. And this is, to me, what it looks like when your brain starts to glitch with all of these indoctrination points of liberal universities. It's like you don't even know how to have a conversation. You've just made a list of everything that either the media has taught you, that your liberal professor has taught you. There's no foundational like belief system behind them. There's no structure to these thoughts. There's no evidence. There's no proof. You just want to sit there and throw out all of these talking points and then make yourself think that you've actually had a significant discussion without actually having to defend anything that you've just said. You haven't won the conversation. You sound like an idiot.
You want to make your check? It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis, and include...
Okay, please don't hate me, but yes, they do have to live with the consequences of the rhetoric that is surrounding them. This person is living with the consequences of being told that capitalism is bad, that white supremacy is bad, or that white supremacy is the most important issue that they need to address, that LGBTQ and abortion rights take precedence over everything else. This person is, like I said, a living, walking example of everything that they have accused Ben Shapiro of being. And they wouldn't even know what Ben Shapiro stands for because they're not interested in letting him talk. Okay, I promise I'm going to let him go for him go for the last 45 seconds and not interrupt.
Including my entire community and the intersectionalities of Black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American... This guy's been accused of rape. Trump. In like court documents, and you're backing the guy. Like, you have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? Like, what is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely like the American idea, what we believe in as a country is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had. Pleasure to meet you.
That was insane. That was completely insane. Nessie, that was one of the accusations by E. Jean Carroll. She was the one that they brought out to bring a case of grape against Trump. That woman is insane. She hasn't been able to prove anything. She doesn't remember pretty much any of these significant details. There were no DNA There's no DNA evidence. There's no evidence to suggest that Trump was even in the location that she says that he was. She doesn't remember the date. She never told anybody this story around that time. There's pretty much nothing around this case that would suggest that it even happened. Not to mention E. Jean Carroll, like I said, she's insane. She went on with Anderson Cooper and said that grape was sexy. So none of, as Terry Ryan says, none of the facts backed it up. But when this person is coming out here saying, don't you have a daughter? Don't you find this belief system problematic? What I find problematic is having my daughter potentially having to share bathrooms with boys, having to share locker rooms with boys, not having her own privacy, not having her own safety, not even being legally defined when it comes to the law, because anybody that wants to be a man can say that they're a man. Anybody that wants to be a woman can say that they're a woman. And not only that, if a man says that they're a woman and the people around them don't go along with it, they have the grounds to bring a lawsuit against them for discrimination. So yeah, those are the concerns that I have as far as a daughter. I don't even know what to say. This person just threw out everything. They couldn't keep a straight line of thought. Again, we're not interested in a conversation. They went from, again, what did they start with? Abortion, white supremacy, LGBTQ rights, capitalism. They veered into Trump, and then they kept talking about their community. It was just sad because, as I said, I mean, as insane as this is, this person clearly needs help and has not been given the help that they need. And again, when they're sitting there screaming at Ben Shapiro saying that they aren't being given the right to live their American dream, I mean, of all places on earth, you are a woman that has decided to become a man and nobody has stopped you. So what more rights do you want? What more of a dream do you want for your life? And do you feel like you could fulfill for your life anywhere else? So it is absolutely bewildering to me. I am just reading through your comments. If you guys are interested, I would love to touch on, just to kind of shift gears for a second. Did you guys see how Beyonce came out and endorsed Kamala Harris? And I don't mean to shift gears. If you guys have any more thoughts on the clips that we just watched. Let's see. How did diversity make the iPhone? Wasn't it made by an English white guy and Steve Jobs and some people in China? Yeah. I'm trying to find the clip of Beyonce here. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on why Beyonce came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, because we saw that. We've seen Leonardo DiCaprio come out and endorse Kamala Harris. We've seen, obviously, Beyonce, which honestly I never expected to happen, but I have my theories as to why. Who else has come out recently in support of Kamala Harris? I know there have been more. I mean, we've already seen Jennifer Garner. We've seen Oprah. We've seen Jessica Alba. We've seen Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep, Ben Stiller, Mark Ruffalo. Lizzo, that was another one. That was wild. I should definitely find that clip because we need to look at that really quick because I think that's hilarious. Let me just find it really quick. Sorry, I'm typing around my microphone. So, and you guys, maybe you won't be excited to know, but I have ordered some things to put up around to start decorating my studio to make it a little nicer. I'm going to get a little cat bed for my cat that likes to impose on my videos. So hopefully if I put it here, she'll stay there instead of trying to sleep on top of my computer. You guys who have been here before know exactly what I'm talking about. Lizzo endorsed Trump. No, but she may She may as well have, because her her endorsement was about as valuable to the Trump campaign as anything else. Okay, so let's look at Beyonce really quick. Terry Ryan says, I love kitties. Yes, I have 3 cats, and but I have one in particular that loves to jump in on the live streams and crawl across my keyboard, and she likes to play with the lights. So I'm thinking if I get a cat bed and just put her here, then because she always has to be next to me. I have the door closed, which is why she's not in here right now. Perfect co-host for my kitty. Childless cat lady? Nope, I am a child. I have a child. I don't know. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. So nope. I have plenty. I have plenty of cats. If I could get 10 more cats, I would. I love cats, but I don't have enough cat beds for that. Anyway, okay. Distracted. Let's look at this Beyonce endorsement. I really haven't listened to her. I don't think that these celebrities are endorsing Kamala because they actually want to. I really don't believe it. So let's just listen to a little bit of what she had to say.
A song that began 248 years ago. The old notes of downfall, discord, despair no longer resonate. Our generations of loved ones before us are whispering a prophecy, a quest, a calling, an anthem. Our moment right now, it's time for America to sing a new song. Our voices sing a chorus of unity. They sing a song of dignity and opportunity. Are y'all ready to add your voice to the new American song? Because I am. So let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a big, loud Texas welcome to the next President of the United States, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Nessie says, why she dyed her hair blonde? She's culturally and racially appropriating white people. You know, I have had that thought many times, and we have, you know, I don't care. Like, I don't care if Black people want to have blonde hair. I don't care if white people want to put braids in their hair. I don't care. I just always think it's funny that we have these Black women that are constantly trying to be blonde, and then they get mad at white girls who put braids in their hair. It's like, aren't you like culturally appropriating white people? I'm just using their own logic against them. But here's my thing. And I love that Shane just popped in there and he's like, what? And the funny thing is, right when you said that, that's exactly what was going on in my brain. Why do these people talk like Hallmark cards? Why do they talk to us like all we need to hear are inspirational speeches? Like, that is not doing anything for anybody anymore. I mean, we can get out there and have the feel goods and the emotional rally and talk like we're in the middle of a Hallmark movie or we're a pageant contestant. That's fine. But it just shows like how little substance there is in this campaign, because they either bring out people that are like, we need the American dream and we need everybody to be happy and joyful, or you get Kamala Harris out there and be like, we're all going to die if we don't vote for Donald Trump. So it's just mind-boggling to me. But my theory is, and you guys can let me know if you agree with me or not, I honestly think that all of these celebrities are on Diddy's list. And I honestly think that these people are trading their endorsements for protection. That's just my theory. Everybody calm down. YouTube, calm down. But I think it's really interesting that Diddy has been able to get away with everything that he's gotten away with for 30 years. And they could have arrested him probably any number of times. I think that people do these things, and, you know, politicians or whatever keep these acts in their back pocket, and they're like, when can I pull this out when it's most beneficial to me? And I think, you know, the fact that he was arrested like a month ago, and it happens to just be before the 2020 election, when they really need all of these celebrities for a purpose, I personally think, especially Beyonce here, because I don't think Beyonce would have ever come out and endorsed anybody. I don't think she would have come out and endorsed Kamala Harris. I don't think she would have participated at all. I think they said, because Jay-Z is somebody that has been speculated very heavily when it comes to the whole Diddy situation. And this is just speculation. These are just thoughts and theories. Not saying any of this is fact, but he is somebody that has the magnifying glass on him right now for his involvement with Sean Combs. And I honestly, truly think that they're holding this over a lot of these celebrities' heads. I don't think their endorsements are legitimate. I don't think that anything that comes out of Hollywood is sincere. I think that they're telling these people, you need to come out and do this because we have videotapes, we have evidence, we have something that we are holding over your head. Terry Ryan says, yeah, remember Usher said he had no intention of endorsing anyone, then came out and endorsed Kamala. What's that about? I think that this is what that's based on. I really do. And I could be completely wrong, but I don't think it's a coincidence. I mean, I do think that there are some celebrities that are truly passionate about the Democrat ticket. People like Mark Ruffalo have been screaming about politics forever. That man is insane. We have Alyssa Milano, who has been screaming about politics forever. We have people that have been politically involved for a long time for one reason or another. But I think these specific endorsements coming out at this time, after this specific arrest, there's something going on. That is just my belief. But this is Lizzo. And let me just grab, and Lizzo is somebody that has had some political opinions. Sorry, I'm just pulling up one more thing here. Okay. Do I believe in Jewish space lasers as well? Meh. She has been radio silent so far. Alyssa, I mean, I know that's been surprising. So you have to wonder why. And I am reading the chat. Do I believe in Jewish space lasers as well? I have no opinion on that. So you're welcome. I did read your comment. And now I can't think of what I was going to say. We've got Lizzo here. Before I get into this, I've had a lot because I've made a point of like not listening to celebrity endorsements like Taylor Swift and Oprah and J-Lo and Julia Roberts and all these people, because I'm like, we don't care what they think. We don't care what their opinions are, because their lives, especially now, are so drastically different than ours right now. Like the difference, the gap between celebrity, the Hollywood elite and everyday Americans is so much bigger than it used to be, because we can't afford food. We can't afford gas. We can't afford to buy houses. We can't afford to do anything. There's so many people that have said, I can't even afford to go out for dinner. I can't afford these little luxuries that I used to be able to do because of this economy, because of inflation, because of just how expensive everything is. Whereas we have these celebrities that have no idea what that's like. And so I think it's even more disgusting to use celebrities as your primary source of popularity for your campaign when that gap has only gotten bigger. It's that much more insulting to trot these people out there with their millions of dollars in private jets to tell us how we should vote and what our values should be and how we should make decisions that are directly going to impact our lives, that are pretty much going to have no impact on these guys, but are either going to make our lives better or worse. And you want us to take that guidance and that lead from people who have absolutely no idea what we are dealing with right now. And not only don't know, but don't care. And they don't have to care, because it's not going to impact them. If we get Kamala Harris in office and she continues to tank our economy, that's not going to matter to these people. So it's even more of a reason to not listen. Why are you reading a script while making fun of people using teleprompters? Are you talking to me? Because I don't have a teleprompter. I don't have a script. I'm That's funny. Okay. But I do appreciate you being here, Sean Harding. You're such a gem. We've had some great conversations lately, and I think that we're going to be great friends. Stock market is twice as low, twice as low for sure. So let's listen to Lizzo right now, because I honestly, when people say, did Lizzo endorse Donald Trump, I think this is probably the biggest endorsement for Donald Trump that we could ever have. Let's listen.
I'm so proud to be from this city. You know, they say if Kamala wins, then the whole country will be like Detroit.
If Kamala wins, the whole country is going to be like Detroit. I mean, you don't have to convince me to vote for Donald Trump. I'm already going to do it. So that's hilarious. But but this is who we're taking our advice from right here. This is Lizzo right after that endorsement.
This is how a bad bitch saves democracy. You hoes couldn't even spell democracy. Ah! This is how a bad bitch.
Will you try to recreate the moment when Kamala Harris teleprompter stopped working? Oh, that was hilarious. Give me a minute to think about that. But we've got this person here. Sorry. So we've got this person here that just got up and said, if Kamala Harris wins, the entire country could look like Detroit. And then she's like, this is how we save democracy, while getting on her private jet. I'm sorry. This is why we don't listen to these people. This is why their opinions and their views are so disconnected from what everyday people are experiencing. I am never going to listen to this person. And I've had a lot of people, and I think my friend Sean Harding here, if my friend here is still in the chat, he may have been one of the many people that brought up the point that there have been celebrities that have endorsed Donald Trump, which I know there have been. I believe, was it Dennis Quaid or was it Randy Quaid? Dennis Quaid. I think he endorsed Donald Trump. I know Rob Schneider has very much been in favor of Donald Trump. Dean Cain. I know there have been a few. Scott Baio, is that how you say his last name? There have been a few. Here's the difference, guys. And I know that if you're a liberal in the comments that you're not going to understand this, and that's totally fine. There are plenty of people in the comments here who are going to hold your hand and help you try to understand this. Kamala Harris needs celebrities to be popular. Like that stadium full of people where she had Beyonce endorsing her, they did not show up for Kamala Harris. They showed up for Beyonce. She needs them to bring in popularity. She needs them to bring in views. You saw what happened at the DNC when she promised to have Beyonce, when the DNC promised that Beyonce was going to perform at the end of the DNC, and it never happened. They did that so people would watch the entire DNC to the end, all the way through. That's the kind of thing that they have to do to get people to watch. Without these celebrities, nobody would tune in to watch Kamala Harris. Without that that event that she did with Oprah, where she had J-Lo and Meryl Streep and Bryan Cranston and a few other people that were promised to be there. Without that, she would not have those crowds. Donald Trump would have that popularity without these celebrities. It doesn't matter if they endorse him or not. It's nice to see. I think Zachary Levi was another one that came out recently, and I don't know if he specifically endorsed Donald Trump. I think he just finally came out and said, basically that he's a conservative. But Donald Trump would be popular without them. People will line up on street blocks. He went to a staged event at McDonald's. We all know it was staged. Nobody's hiding that, because you have to have certain security measures in place before he can go in there. He can't just show up at a McDonald's and start making French fries. They got to have the security go in there ahead of time and screen the people that are going to be around him. This man has had a few attempts on his life already. So clearly that is something that's going to need to happen. But he can go to this McDonald's and these people will line up for blocks just to be around this man, knowing that they're not going to be able to talk to him, knowing they're not really going to be able to hear him speak, knowing that, they're really not going to have any interaction with him, that they will show up and support him. He doesn't need celebrities. He's never needed them to gain that support. So yeah, he can have celebrities that support him. And I don't even know that these people have really endorsed him. Maybe they have. They're voting for him. They support him. They haven't given their full-throated endorsement as some of these men for Kamala have given, if you know what I mean. But that's the difference, because I fully expect that there are going to be celebrities that come out and say who they're going to vote for. They're going to come out and say who they're going to support. They're going to come out and express their political views. That's not the same thing as an endorsement. And Donald Trump doesn't need these people to have that popularity. And that is the difference. As Nessie said, that McDonald thing was about Trump connecting with the little folks and trying to relate and understand them. And I think that that had the exact effect that he was going for. Sorry, we don't need Lizzo on the screen anymore. Congratulations on her weight loss, by the way. Like, I think it's amazing that she has been taking her health into her own hands and making incredible strides in that way. It's just unfortunate that she is choosing to go the path that she's on. But I do think that the appearance of Donald Trump going to McDonald's had the effect that they were hoping for, because there's such a stark contrast between him showing up and making French fries with everyday people versus these events where Kamala Harris has to bring in like Oprah and Beyonce. I mean, you surround yourself with the people that you know that you work for. And Kamala Harris works for the elite. Donald Trump does not. He might be a billionaire, but this man has connected with more everyday people throughout his life than any of these other people combined. Let's see. I'm just reading the comments. I know this, like I said, this was just kind of a spur of the moment live stream, and I really appreciate the viewership right now. Maybe I do need to do these on Saturdays more because definitely more involvement than Wednesday mornings. I know everybody is at work. Everybody's kind of doing their thing. I am an at-home mom right now. But Saturdays tend to be a better engagement. But are there any other, before I go, are there any other topics you guys would like to talk about? I want to show you guys this video really quick because this is absolutely disgusting. I mean, you want to see like Kamala Harris supporters in action. Here's the thing. You can tell, like Kamala Harris, they can get out there and talk about joy all they want. They can talk about happiness and living the American dream and have all these inspirational speeches. But how their supporters act, and this goes for Trump supporters as well, to me, that demonstrates the things that they are absorbing, because you become the thing that you surround yourself with. And as much as they talk about joy, what we're seeing in their supporters is exactly the thing that I feel like is instilled in them. And that is all the anger and the hostility and the fear and, dare I say, the hate. And we see that by their actions. So let's have a look at this really quick, because this video has been going viral over the last, probably just this morning, the last few hours. But this is a Kamala Harris supporter screaming at this child. Hold on. UA Boston Brianess. So I would like to see, since you are the Harris supporter in the comments, please defend that to me. Please tell me in what world that's okay. And yeah, I would love to hear your justification of that, because that's not like the first unhinged thing that I have seen. I think there was a longer one. Yeah, so she like literally fought her way through the crowd to find this kid and scream in her face. And let me tell you, I would have left my kid in the stroller, and it would have been between me and that person. The way that I would have gotten in that woman's face, and I can't even promise it wouldn't have become physical had she done that to my kid. There are no words. Find me one Trump supporter. Find me anybody on the right that would ever do that, that would ever behave that way. Because these are the kind of things that we constantly see from the left. And at what point do you sit back and you realize that you're not the party of joy, that you're not the party of love and tolerance and diversity and compassion, that you're not achieving the utopia that you've been promised? At what point do you sit back and realize that all of the fear, the anger, and the hate and hostility that is constantly pounded into your brain when you have a candidate that gets up there and lies about somebody, about Trump saying that he wants soldiers like what Hitler had or military like what Hitler had, and you don't realize that that is directly impacting the base that you align yourself with, that those are the things that are causing people to behave this way. It's not Trump that's causing that. It's not conservatives that cause that behavior. It is the things that you are listening to. It is the things that your party stands for. And I know, I can see you, Brianus, that you're laughing, and that just shows the level of delusion that still exists on the left. But let me tell you guys, the number of people that I have seen that, TikTok, love it or hate it, the number of videos that I have seen of people saying, you know what? I cannot align myself with this anymore. Like, it has overwhelmed my For You page on TikTok. They're like, I don't love President Trump. I don't love everything he stands for, but I cannot stand with the left anymore because of all of the anger, all of the hate. And not only that, every single story of somebody switching over to becoming, party, say that they're going to vote for Trump. They're like, I am being attacked. I have never experienced so much hostility and anger toward me than the moment that I said I was going to vote for Trump. And those are coming from the people that say that they stood with them, that they supported with them, that they were the party of compassion. And they're like, I have experienced more hate and intolerance and harassment just by saying that I am going to vote differently than them than over any other issue in my life. You are not the party of love. You are not the party of tolerance. You are not the party of compassion. You are the party of hate, diversity, and intolerance. And you can laugh all you want, but we see it. You can say all the words you want, but actions speak louder than words. And when you see crap like this, one more string of evidence, one more demonstration of who you are as people. And when this election is coming up, when businesses are starting to board up their windows and their doors, it's not because of Republicans. It's not because they're afraid of how Republicans are going to behave if Trump doesn't win. It's because they're afraid of you guys. They're afraid of the left. They're afraid of how Democrat voters are going to respond either way, whether Kamala Harris wins or whether Trump wins. They have to brace themselves for the impact of how the left behaves. They know that we're not going to come after them. We know that their businesses are not in danger. They know that their businesses and their private property and their families are not in danger because of us. It's because of you guys. Sorry, I'm just reading through your comments now. I will be wrapping this up soon. I know I've been on here for about an hour and a half, and I appreciate you guys giving me 90 minutes of your Saturday today. That's been really fun. Even the trolls joining the comments. I appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys are children of Christ as well. And I hope that one day you allow God into your hearts because you need it. But if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about before I log off or any other questions that you have. Oh, look, Brianus is voting for Kamala, meaning he wants the economy to continue to go down. He wants World War III. He wants the border to be open. He wants all of these Venezuelan gangs to have citizenship. He wants us to continue to mutilate our children, to put sexualized material in schools. He wants families to be split up by gender ideology. Those are the things that Brianus is letting all of us know that he stands for. So you go, you emasculated feminist shell of a man. That's what I have to say about that. Terry Ryan, I appreciate you. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you guys get to your day, but I would love you guys to picture the decoration, the magic that is going to happen in this space over the next few days. It's going to, Brian, you know what? I am trying to embrace your true identity. You wrote it out as Brianess, so that is what I'm going to call you. Let's see. Shane says, concerned. I just mentioned she was popular with her own people. The Democrat Party isn't democratic. Why aren't you concerned? Nessie says, if Yang was a candidate, I would vote for my fellow Asian brother and looking forward to the free money he would be giving out. He still does that. Have you seen his posts? Anytime he gets money from X, he's like, all right, somebody comment on my post. I'm going to give you the money that I just earned from X, which I think is hilarious. Terry Ryan says, thank you. I really appreciate you too. You guys are amazing. I truly do appreciate you. It is challenging to grow a channel. It is challenging to get past the YouTube algorithm that doesn't particularly like conservative points of view. Facebook especially has been really bad lately. I just appreciate you guys engaging with me, and I love talking to you. So always let me know what you guys want to talk about. There's other ways to support the channel in the description box. I am so grateful for all you do. We love your videos. Oh, you guys, I do need that encouragement sometimes because it is challenging, but I really do appreciate you guys. So yeah, I'm going to end it there, and we're going to talk again soon. Bye.